Hello, and welcome back to First Recapped. Today we're recapping a sci-fi noir thriller called Reminiscence, which was released in 2021 and starred our favorite X-Men, Hugh Jackman. There will be spoilers ahead, so proceed with caution. Sometime in the future, the ocean has started to encroach on our land, and other environmental issues like global warming have reached an elevated level, so much so that most of the human population has become nocturnal. The movie opens with a long-drawn aerial shot of a Miami which is almost halfway submerged in water. Yet human life persists in what is a futuristic Venice. Hugh Jackman's character, Nick Bannister, narrates that they say the past can haunt men. It is a series of moments in the necklace of time, it is complete and perfect. But he says that the past can't haunt men, it wouldn't even recognize us. It is us who haunt the past. As night falls and the city awakens to life, we see Nick entering his workplace. He is a war veteran and now makes a living as a private investigator of the mind. He also takes clients who want to utilize his machine to visit their memories. He does this with his coworker, a woman who goes by the name Watts. Nostalgia has been capitalized on and made a commodity in this world. Nick says that the future seems bleak, as wars and climate change have rendered people hopeless, so they choose to spend money to look back into their memories. We see a number of people come in and visit their memories, including another war veteran, whom Nick doesn't charge for his services. Watt says that this could lead them to a loss in profit, but Nick feels sympathy for such people, showing his loyalty and generosity. One night, a walk-in client comes in, saying that she knows she is late, but she needs help to find her keys, as she is locked out of her house. The woman is mysterious and beautiful, and there is an immediate attraction between her and Nick. However, Watts has none of it. They put May into the water tank and begin the process. It turns out that she works as a nightclub singer, and through watching her memories, they learn that she left her keys backstage. But Nick doesn't stop the machine, watching her go on stage to perform a song. He is smitten with her. The next day, he goes to the Coconut Bar, the nightclub where May works, to return a pair of jade earrings that she left. They start talking, and then Nick escorts her home. And so begins their relationship. We see the newfound couple spend an intimate moment on the roof, but suddenly, Nick wakes up with Watts berating him for using the machine. It turns out that we were in his memories, as it has been months since May has gone missing. Nick is understandably worried about her, but Watts warns him that spending hours reliving his memories won't help him. And that May left him on her own, but Nick is convinced that she is in trouble and wants to find her. Nick continues to look for May, revisiting her workplace and finds nothing. That night, he again relives his memories. He sees May with bruises that she dismisses, and the two of them discuss a journal he keeps. In another memory, she mentions finding a woman in the middle of the ocean who had helped her. He is awoken from his sedation and hears someone pounding on the door. When he goes to check, there is no one there. Instead, he finds one of May's jade earrings on the road. Nick and Watts visit Avery Castillo, a prosecutor who hires their service. They need to investigate the memories of a comatose man, who had used to work for St. Joe, a drug baron. They begin their investigation, and in one of the memories, Nick sees May. Despite Avery and her partner's protests, he continues to plod through the suspect's memories to get more information on May. It turns out that she was with St. Joe and as a result of being with him, had become addicted to baka, a notoriously addictive and dangerous narcotic. In the last memory the man has of May, he discovers that she had been stealing from Saint before she fled. Nick is devastated to find out that May was an addict, and Watts says she knew but didn't say anything because it wasn't her place to. To find out more, Nick travels to New Orleans to pay a visit to St. Joe. He smuggles his way in but is called out for his bluff by Saint. The kingpin tells him he knew exactly what May took from him, his time, money, and drugs. But what did she take from Nick? Nick does not have any answers and is being tortured by his goons when Watts enters and rescues him, killing St. Joe in the process. Now, Nick is angry at being swindled, as he can't get St. Joe's words out of his mind, that she was there to steal something from him. Watts relives her last memory with May, in which the two talked and May told her that she was an addict. Watts gets drunk and emotional and excuses herself. This gives May time to steal the keys to the vault where they keep memories. Turns out that she has stolen all the memory chips belonging to Elsa Kareem, a young woman who was a previously regular customer. She used to come in to relive her tryst with an older man, something that had been annoying to Watts. Nick and Watts are confused as to why May would steal Elsa Kareen's memories. Nick goes to find Elsa herself and discovers that she is dead. Her friend tells him that a man and a red-headed woman came and killed Elsa while taking away Elsa's kid. Soon after that, Nick is attacked by an unknown man, whom Watts uncovers as a dirty cop who used to work for St. Joe. His name is Cyrus Booth and he had come to some disagreement with Saint and went to work for Walter Sylvan. They go to visit Avery Castillo, where Nick sees the widow of land baron Walter Sylvan. Sylvan was sick and has recently passed away. Everyone was hoping that Sylvan's death would break the monopoly, but everything is to be inherited by his widow and son. Nick remembers that Tamara, Walter's widow, once came in to use the memory machine. He relives her memory through her memory card and recognizes Walter's voice. It is the same voice as the man who was Elsa's lover. He and Watts come to the conclusion that he must also be the father of Elsa's child, thus making the kid a contender for the man's fortune. Walter had probably sent Cyrus and May after Elsa, meaning that if they track down Cyrus, they will also find May. Watts is scared for Nick's safety and well-being, thinking that going down this path won't bring him anything good. She begs him to stay out of this whole affair and move on. It is clear that May was simply using him to get to Elsa's memories and did not care about him. But the two end up fighting and Nick tells her that she also needs to move on, there is nothing for her while working for him. The two of them part ways. In the next scene, we see Nick visiting Tamara, hoping to find out about Cyrus, but Tamara's memory has become damaged. In a moment of lucidity, she mentions where Booth might be, but her son discovers Nick with his mother and orders his security to get rid of him. Tamara tells them to do what Sylvan would want to do with him, to kill. Luckily, the security guy misfires and lets Nick go because he served in the war, but warns him that he won't miss the next time. Nick says that he did not get much from Tamara, but he got enough. He will descend into hell to find May and Cyrus, and so he visits the old recycling plants, where the trash piles up along with all the lost souls of the city. He looks around until he finds a red-headed woman, thinking that it is May. He follows her. She eventually leads him to Cyrus Booth, but unfortunately, the woman is not May. Nick holds a gun up to Cyrus and asks him about May. Cyrus starts talking in riddles, saying that Nick does not know anything. He starts humming the song that May had sung in her memory, the one that had been special to Nick because of his grandfather. Enraged, Nick starts yelling at Cyrus, but Cyrus taunts him and jumps out the window. A chase ensues in which both of them get pretty banged up. Eventually though, Nick is able to get the jump on Cyrus and injects him with a sedative. He takes Cyrus back home and submerges him into the water tank and begins to navigate through his memories for everything he can find about the woman he loves. Everything is finally revealed. After having his falling out with St. Joe, Cyrus went to work for Sylvan, who had tasked him to find Elsa and kill the kid. For that, he had tracked down May, who had made a clean living for herself after escaping Joe. He blackmails her and gets her to work for him. They track down Nick's old war friend, who gives them the information about the song. The same song she sings in the lounge which first had attracted Nick to her. The song, the keys, and everything had been set up. Nick watches hurt and angry as Cyrus's memories unfold. Cyrus had harangued May for stalling, giving her the bruises Nick had noticed on her arm. She had stolen Elsa's memory card from Nick and asked Cyrus what he would do to the kid. Nick watches as Cyrus finds Elsa and murders the poor girl, but before he can get to Freddy, the kid, May jumps in and intercepts. She grabs a hold of Freddy and gets the two of them on a boat. Nick feels relieved and happy as he watches May rescue the poor kid. Another memory shows that it was really May who had banged on his office door before Cyrus showed up. She had begged Cyrus to leave Nick alone and went with him, dropping an earring behind as a clue for Nick. In the last memory that Cyrus had of May, we see that he had forced her to take some vodka and was asking her where Freddy was. But starts to say that he already knows where Freddy is. She mentions the mirage she thought she had seen to Cyrus's confusion. But Nick figures out that this is a message for him. He walks towards the memory and takes the place of Cyrus so that he can see May talking to him directly. There is a heart-touching scene in which May tells him how sorry she is that she did not tell Nick anything sooner. That she was afraid. She says that people like her don't fall in love, they plummet into places deep inside. But that she fell in love with him, that she did not tell him anything until it was too late because she was afraid of breaking the illusion. She wanted to be the person Nick saw her as. They embrace and May tells him she's sorry she couldn't have held on longer. In the memory, she uses Nick's name, alerting Cyrus, who had thus far been besotted with her words. She tells him that Nick is the man who is going to kill him, before stabbing him. She says that there is the only option left and takes a lethal dose of Baka as Nick cries and begs her not to. She says that she can't let him find Freddy and that she is sorry. She ends her life by jumping from the platform. Nick is devastated, and in her anger, he makes Cyrus relive his worst memory. This turns out to be the memory of when St. Joe's men had punished him for skimming off of the profits. They had burned half of his head and body. He then goes to visit the Sylvan widow and their son. He confronts the son, saying that he figured out it was Sebastian who hired Cyrus, not Walter. Walter was in love with Elsa and was looking for her to provide for both mother and son. But Sebastian found out about his half-brother and did not want to share his fortune. So, he had Cyrus eliminate them. Nick tells him that the police picked up Freddy that morning and will find out everything soon enough. Sebastian tries to kill Nick but can't find the courage, and then tries to commit suicide as Nick walks away. But he is unable to do that either. Nick visits Watts, who is now working in a posh place that allows people to reminisce. He confesses that he intentionally burned Cyrus's memories, a crime more horrendous than murder. He gives her the memory cards that would reveal the Elsa and Cyrus case and asks her to give them to Avery Castillo. Watts says that Avery will find out about Nick, and Nick says that he wants that to happen. He tells her that May is dead, and that Watts is his only friend. He tells her there is still time for her to fix things with her daughter. We see the city rioting as Sylvan's crimes are revealed, and Nick getting convicted, but because of his help in the expose, he gets to spend the rest of his life reliving his memories. There is a jump in time, where an older Watts is arranging flowers beside Nick's submerged body. We jump into his memories, where he is with May. She asks him to tell her a story and he tells her the story of two lovers, Orpheus and Eurydice. The story ends with the two uniting and happy, as the movie draws to a close. Wow, that was quite the story. Wouldn't you agree? Let us know how close you were to guess the actual plot twist. Like and subscribe for more awesome videos. See you all in the next one.